we all struggle. We all have challenges in life. We all have people that maybe kick us and knock us down. It's whether you get up and dust yourself off and better yourself. Once again, the thing I love about the industry, even if you get knocked down a step, you can come back up. You can pull yourself back up. Never think you can't do it.
Welcome to the Burgess Civil Podcast, where our greatest asset is our people. I'm your host, Ben Burgess. I'm the owner and founder of Burgess Civil. We're a site work and roadway contractor based out of Tampa, and we've been in business since 2014. We're 10 years into our construction journey, and we've decided to jump into the podcast game. I've followed a lot of different construction-related podcasts for years, and we're aiming to do something a little different on ours. On most construction podcasts, I see owners, VPs, project managers, office staff. On our podcast, we're spotlighting our own people from the field within Burgess Civil. Many of our people have come through the trade and been able to better themselves and their families through construction. Many of our people have started out as field technicians and worked their way to operator to foreman, foreman to superintendent. We've done all this within Burgess Civil and our fast-growing company. Construction tends to get a bad rap for being an industry you only do if you can't do something else. Instead, we're going to show people that construction is a great option for many people, whether you have a formal education or whether you don't. We help to change the narrative within the construction industry and show people it's a great industry to be a part of. We've got a very special guest on the podcast today that's going to help us spotlight that story and has a lot of great examples of how he's bettered himself and his career through the construction industry as well as his family. And that's Mr. Jamy Barron, earthwork foreman for Burgess Civil. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right. Appreciate you being on. Got a good chance to kind of rewind the tape. We've been acquainted for a few years now, working together here at Burgess, but you've really got this industry in your blood and you've been involved with it for a very long time. Why don't you go ahead and kind of take us back to your early days and your first exposure in the construction industry and tell us how you first got involved.
Growing up, my grandfather and father has always been in the industry, been doing it. They were on the development side, beside the civil, doing the walks and drives, final grades, things like that in the company.
Kind of home building.
Home building.
Yeah.
We were contracted under home building. So we would do all of that. As growing up, I used to ride on the equipment with my grandfather and ride on the equipment with my father. And they taught me a lot and how to run grade tractors. At a young age, I wasn't. My dad left the job and told me don't get on the piece of equipment. My cousin taught me into it. I climbed on the tractor and we went to riding around and I run over a piece of dirt, flipped the tractor over and messed me up. Most people would run from it after things like that. It just, after I healed, got out of the hospital and still would go with my dad, I just wanted to do it more. And in the industry of watching what they did, I could see the civil side of it, them putting in pipe and developing and building. And I wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to learn how to do it and to take ground that's just all over the place and looks really bad, and to make it into, I call a masterpiece. Mm-hmm. At the end,
that's your piece of art.
That's my piece of art.
Yeah.
And so I got into the industry and got into the pipe side of it.
Okay. Before we go there, let's go back even to Jamy as a student. You shared a couple formative stories with me about, kind of your life as a student, some teachers that may have impacted you for better or for worse. Yeah. Why don't you share a couple of those stories with us?
Back in 8th grade, I was kind of a trouble kid. Not troubled. I wasn't real bad, but I got put in ISS. And I had a teacher that told me that I would never amount to nothing but a man standing on the side of the road holding a street sign that flip and stop and go. And I dedicated my life to prove him wrong. And it's what gave me the incentive and the drive to make myself a better man, to not stay down in that gutter and be that man. Maybe he did it for reasons and trying to make me be better or insulting me. I don't know what it was, but it made me be a better man.
Either way, it was a formative point in your life that's really driven you to have the success that you've had in your career.
Yes.
Gotcha. And you kind of shared with me that you kind of struggled in school with some things.
I have dyslexia. And if most people don't know what dyslexia is you see things backwards. Sometimes you see things in different light, which causes it really hard to read, write, or spell. And I struggled with that for a long time. And I was in SLD classes, which is slow learning disability, which is now it's called something different. But I knew I could be better. And so I overcome that. But for people out there that think that you can't do something because of that disability, I'm here to show you you can. You can overcome it. You can teach yourself how to read, teach yourself how to. I still struggle. From this day forward, I still struggle. I have words I can't spell. I have things that I can't read, emails that I may get from y'all, but I work myself to understand what it means. And when there's times, which is good, the voice to text.
Yeah, right.
Technology come a long way, which did help me.
Yeah.
But don't think that a disability like that can hold you back, because it depends on the drive in you and the person you want to be. If you want to be better, you can overcome it and you can be better.
And you said you share that with your guys in the field all the time
Yes.
now, just in terms of like, hey, look at me. If I did it, you can do it too.
Yes. I've had people that's in the field that think that they can't move up and run a piece of equipment, or may want to be a boss and think they can't do it. And I explain to them my story and the struggles that I have, and that you can do it. Don't never doubt yourself. Always positive. I can do this. I can do this.
That's awesome. So, yeah. So I know you said probably around ninth grade, Hurricane Andrew hits.
Yes.
And you and your family went to do some cleanup work on that. And that was kind of your last time in school, basically,
Yeah.
right? From
Yeah,
there,
that
you
was
were-
ninth grade. After that, I was construction. I went into the field. We loaded up, went to Homestead, and helped down there at Hurricane Andrew, where it went through in Homestead, and did a lot of cleanup and a lot. We was there for over a year, almost a year and a half.
Gotcha.
And that was when I come back, it was just full into construction. But back, like, I remember, like I said, running the equipment with my dad at 12 years old. I drove a mini wheeler dump truck off road by myself.
Yeah.
And
That's awesome.
I'd run around. It was clay, and
Yeah.
they built roads for us to run, but
Yeah.
I drove on road, off road.
I bet you look kind of funny sitting up there in that truck.
Barely could reach the pedals.
Had to put some blocks there for you.
Yeah.
But you said you've always had it in your blood. We talked about this a little bit off camera, but you loved playing with trucks as a kid,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had Tonka trucks,
Yeah.
and I've tried to buy some more. I found one that actually, well, I know would maybe get into it, but the hurricane relief we just did, they threw a Tonka truck, and it's the old school Tonka truck back when I had when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I used to run around with a little sit on the back of the payloader and scoop my dirt up and
Yeah.
dump it in our dump truck and haul it. And I had a little excavator,
Yeah.
and so I get paid for what I did as a kid. What I loved to do as a kid.
Right.
Now I get paid for it.
Yeah. You followed your passion. You got to do it. Just like a professional athlete that plays a sport, grows up, plays it, now they get paid to do it. You just get paid to control and move dirt and control trucks.
Yes.
Yeah, cool. So, primarily you've worked for us on the earthwork side of things, but a lot of your career, you explained to me before that, was more on the utility side of things. So tell us, after you guys are done with the hurricane work, you come back and now you're dedicated to construction full time. Kind of tell us about your path there and, kind of what you learned.
We did a lot of that, like I said, and then I started watching the civil side of it. And I made a choice to move to the civil side of it. Some things happened that my
So
dad...
site work basically
Site work,
instead of like building or lot prep for
Yeah, instead of lot prep and
the
all
whole
of that.
site development.
Yeah, so Dad he was ready to shut his company down and moved to just kind of semi-retire. And so I moved into the pipe work. So I had a foreman, Tom Kroger, that I started out as a heel man
Okay.
and was a laborer.
labor position.
The labor position, the bottom position there is. And I wanted to move up. I wanted to make more money. And once again, don't let anything hold you back. It depends on...
Probably starting to have a family and all those.
Yeah, I had that was my first son.
Yeah.
Is when I started into that was, and so I needed to make more money. And anybody that you can hold yourself back in a hardworking position that I know most people, as we discussed before, think of construction as hard manual labor. It depends on what skilled trade you take, and it depends on how far you want to move up. Because like I said, I started out as a laborer. Yes, very hard work. I would get pipe ready. I would dig holes around the bells, put the O-rings on the bells. I would put the fabric around the bell, had the shovel underneath the bell, connect the cable to hook to it to put it in the hole. I mean, yes, it is hard work. Brick up boxes and do all of that. But I devoted to move to make more money. So then I become a tailman. So when I learned all of what it takes to be a tailman, helping your pipe layer out, making sure the pipe's home, doing all of that, then I chose I'm ready to be a pipe layer. I want to take my next step. So then I learned how to lay pipe, how to set up the laser in the manholes, how to do all of that. And then I was ready to move to equipment. I'd had enough of the manual labor. It's time for me to, so then I learned how to run a loader. Was my first piece of equipment that I was, I mean, I had already ran it with my dad as growing up, but as far as moving pipe and moving structures, it's a lot different than moving dirt over for a foundation. So then I learned that. Then I moved to a backhoe and started running a backhoe and laying pipe with that. And as I was in that stage of it, Tom Kroger decided I wanted to become a foreman. I wanted to become a leader. And so he started teaching me the ropes also with being in the pipe laying position, how to measure your boxes, how to read tenths and understanding all of that, how to read a set of blueprints, how to figure your numbers that it takes to set that box, how much rock you need in the bottom. Right. And he benefited me. He was a big mentor of mine, a big mentor. He was a very hard man. Back growing up going in the industry, you were cussed at, you were called every name in the book. It was to make you a better person. Back then, I thought
They had different ways of doing it back then.
I thought you was just treating me like crap back then, and you were belittling me. Then to come to find out, to realize, because I met him not a couple of years ago and had another talk, and he said, I never tried to be mean to you. He said, I knew you could do what you're doing right now. I knew you could be that man, and I wanted to make you that man.
Right.
So then I learned that industry and got it all the way through. There were still some more things I needed to learn, but the company went under, shut down.
Yeah.
So I moved from that company to another company, and that's where I met John Bishop.
Okay.
And I worked with him for a long time. At the other company, we were doing the lower storm, stuff like that. John Bishop taught me the deep sanitary side. Okay. How to figure your numbers for lift stations, because lift stations will go into the negative. And a lot of people don't know how to. Negative is below sea level. Math. They don't know how to do the math for that. And I didn't know how to do the math. And so he started teaching me and how to reset benchmarks up, to move your benchmarks, to do your negative on all of that. So I learned a lot more from him.
So one of the things, Jamy, you talked about having some old school tough mentors, kind of just the old school construction mentality, hey, yell, scream, those kinds of things. But you're a totally different kind of manager than that, right?
Yes.
So how did you kind of make that concerted effort to say, hey, I'm not going to be that kind of leader?
I learned that when you'll do for people, but when you're being treated like that at the time, you feel belittled. So when you feel belittled, you don't give your effort. You don't give your all. And so I always knew in me that if they would have just gave me respect, I would have worked twice as hard as I did. I would given more than what I did. So I valued that I would never disrespect my people like that. I
Yeah.
would never talk to them like that. And I would never make them feel belittled. I always, when an issue arises, I think it through in my head how I need to handle this situation.
And probably how you would want to be treated.
Yes.
Right?
I put myself in that position as if I did it. If it was me that messed up and did that, how would I want somebody to handle and talk to me? And that's what I give back to my people. And I have noticed that because of the respect that I give them and how I treat them, they work harder and give me more. And
Yeah.
it makes everybody that comes to my crew wants to stay on my crew.
Right.
They want to stay.
You figure out it's easier to attract more bees with honey kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha. That's awesome. So a lot of pipe background. You've worked in transport, running trucks as well.
Yes, I've
Right.
transported equipment. I went for that for about a year in the company that I was with. I was the only landau driver. I would run heavy equipment and landau.
Okay. And that's a specific type of trailer.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I never vowed to go out of town, out of state. I never wanted it.
Right.
Well, they did a lot of sending me out of state, and it just wasn't my thing.
Wonderful.
So I went with another truck and outfit and run phosphate for a long time with that company, and just stepped away from construction for a little while.
Okay.
And then I decided that trucking wasn't for me. It's a boring, it takes a special breed. Just
really?
like in construction,
Okay.
it takes a special breed. It takes a special breed to drive them trucks.
We've never talked about that on here, but tell me more about the trucking industry, because there might be somebody on here that's in trucking or thinking about trucking. Like, what does it take?
It takes, where a lot of people, it's very mentally challenged, because the traffic on the road, you got to stay focused. You constantly have to watch what's going on, what that other person beside you is doing, what the person coming at you is doing.
And this is Florida, and a lot of people have moved here. A lot. That's good, because we need more homes and more roads. Yeah. But there's a lot more people on those roads.
Yes. Yeah. So it makes it a lot worse. It's, believe it or not, trucking is very more stressful than. It's not a bad job. It's if that's your trade.
These days.
It's just the distractions, your phones going off, your things like that is just, there's so much loud music, the people with their cars, and just so much going on out there that it's really, really stressful.
Well, credit to the truckers out there that are listening, because it's harder than it looks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. People needs to understand, even in our industry and pulling this piece of equipment, as you've seen and people have said 100 times, and I'm first to tell you, that truck don't stop on a dime. Mm-hmm. When you pull over and cut it off, and because you want that extra, you don't want to be behind him, it could cause a lot of damage, because he can't stop that rig like you can stop that car.
Gotcha.
And that's what a lot of people, that's where a lot of the stress comes in, is you're just trying to do your job, and all these other people are just cutting you off, and just they think that, I don't want to be behind this slow rig, I'm going to get in front of it. Yeah. They'll do whatever it takes to get in front of it. And so
interesting. That's how bad things happen. All right. So one of the things that I learned from talking with you a little bit here earlier was, I didn't know most of your background was in pipe, but then when you came to start working with Burgess, your background became, well, I don't want to say your background, your skill set started developing more on the earthwork side of things. You really worked for us strictly on the earthwork side. So tell us about that.
So when I come in, because I learned how to run a dozer and learned how to finish grade with a dozer without GPS.
Was that for backfilling?
Backfilling pipe and things like that. And and even with my dad, we did little construction here and there, building little retention ponds, little parking lots, adding to a parking lot, little things like that. So I learned how to run by stakes and learn how to, what to do with you when you're running with stakes. So when I come to y'all, I wanted the foreman's position, but y'all had nothing open. And so I was told I could run a dozer. So I went to dirt work on the dozer side, because I wanted to learn the next trade, because I'm not stopping at a foreman. I want that next stage. I want to be a superintendent. I want to move up in the
You wanted
industry.
to know all parts of the trade.
So I want to know all parts. To be a good superintendent,
Right.
you got to know all parts. I've done a little road work. I can't run the motor graders like
Sure.
them motor graders
Right.
can, but I know a little bit, enough to get me by on the road side. But I wanted to learn the dirt side. So I come in, I run a dozer with no GPS. I was just running around doing truck tracks,
Yeah.
running around grading free-handed. And Raphael, which y'all still have him with the company,
Yeah.
he was
Shout out to
there.
Raphael.
Yeah. He knew all about GPS. So the poor man was doing everything. I mean, he was working his butt off.
Yeah.
And so I said, I'll jump down here in this pond and I'll grade the pond. I'll follow his grade because I can follow grade
Right.
and grade it. And so he come over there, then made sure I was on grade, all of that. But anyway, skipping a little further forward, I finally got moved to a GPS dozer. I knew nothing about GPS.
Okay.
I'm all old school.
Right.
I knew nothing about GPS. And Raphael took his time out and explained GPS to me. And any question I ever had, he explained it to me and explained the contour lines, everything about GPS that I needed to know to run a GPS. And Raphael is why I'm where I'm at with GPS now.
Yeah.
He started me with it, and everything on the equipment side of the GPS, he taught me everything on the GPS side of how to run it and how to be a finished operator
Yeah.
to make the money. And with the GPS, with the understanding of plans, it all kind of connected together and taught me the earthwork side.
Okay.
And then the only thing that I didn't know, but common sense, what material you can put on pads, what material you can't put on, and
Clay versus sand.
clay versus sand, all of that. Because Florida's
Yeah.
we're versatile on
Sure.
what materials
Soil
there.
types. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
And then and I didn't know that until today, that Raphael was really the one that, because you're kind of running like our whole GPS operation now. You learn how to set them up, set the jobs up. Everybody leans on you now.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that he was the one that invested in you and kind of gave you that mentorship to start your skill set there.
yes, yep,
Yeah.
he was the one that set me there. And then I had one of my bosses here went elsewhere, and I got the opportunity to become the foreman, to step up to foreman. And being what I knew with the GPS, I wanted to save the company money.
Yeah.
I wanted to learn that other skill set of how to set the GPS up. Once again, as a superintendent, to be a good superintendent to me, you need to know all the traits. You run the equipment, run the job,
Now you got
from the dirt side, the time sheets, all of that. So Sam helped me and sent me a video of how to set the GPS up. I called him I probably drove that guy crazy.
Yeah.
Calling him, with SciTech. Drove him crazy, calling him, Sam, what do I do here? How do I fix this problem? In the video, it tells you how to pretty much build the job, but when the surveyor doesn't give you the right file, you got to manually enter it in. So I had to call him. Hey, Sam, how do you enter this in? But I strive to learn how to do it. And now I know how to set up the jobs, shoot all the benchmarks, calibrate the job, get the job ready to go for GPS. I know how to put it in the machines. I know how to swap it from one GPS to the other, base station from one job to the other. So Raphael was the top that led me, because I never wanted to learn GPS. I thought GPS was stupid.
Did you think it was going to take your job or something? Because
Yes.
we have that problem a lot in the industry where it's like, I don't want to do that because it can do it better than I can.
I did in two ways.
But
of
what
thinking.
you realize is it makes you that much more productive.
Yes. I didn't see it that way when it was first coming out. The way I seen it is, and no offense to anybody, somebody that don't even know how to run a dozer can get on and be showed GPS and run a dozer. But then I realized GPS will only do so much. When you get around trees, when you get around areas, that's all freehand.
And it's really for finishing. Like I remember when we first started getting into GPS, we were up at a job called Murata, and I had a couple different vendors I wanted to test out. And I got on the machines myself because I was like, I want to understand how this works because I'd never done it before. And I can tell you, it still didn't make me a great operator. But still bogging down in piles and not picking the blade up right and all kinds of stuff. And still, what I came to realize is like, and then Raphael hopped on. He's trying to help me and show me, and he's like, "Let me show you." And he's smooth on it, and it's helping him get to finish grade that much faster. But for someone like me that doesn't operate, it didn't take your job. That's for you.
The good thing with GPS that I learned, you could do a job in half the time.
Yeah.
It takes off.
And you're not waiting on the surveyor and everything.
Yeah, I'm not waiting on the surveyor. I know where my pads are. I know where, and then you don't have to worry about setting a stake up. And then we'll say you got a 6-foot fill, but you got a 3-foot stake sitting in the ground.
Right.
Now I've got to move that stake and keep adjusting it and get it restaked at the very end, get it restaked to make sure it's doing right. And it saves money.
And I know when I came in the industry, it used to be $100 per stake. It's probably, with inflation, it's about $200.
$200 a stake, $250 a stake now. The other thing I thought with the GPS is, and they are moving to that, but it's years. It'll be the remote control. I thought with GPS, thinking that it was already more advanced, that it didn't need an operator sitting in the seat.
Right.
That GPS ran the whole job. But
it's
actually
outside of the mines in a controlled environment. But in construction, the challenge with it is we have so many moving parts. On our jobs, you can't take all that into account without a human.
No. You gotta. There's so much that a computer can't take over a human. The instinct, certain scenarios, certain situations you get in.
Right.
Because as an operator, I've been in a lot of pretty crazy situations that you didn't think you would be in, but you got to think quickly. I mean, I've worked on top of a sand pile on a backhoe digging and almost fell in the hole. It's giving way on you. I've graded dozers and it rained and I slide to the bottom of the hill. Just things a computer that I don't think can replace the human aspect of it.
That's interesting. You just gave me a flashback to when I started in the industry. I was out in the field and somebody put me on an end dump just to sit around. And when I saw how close you get to the pond banks, I'm like, "Oh man, I don't know if this is for me."
They run right up to that edge.
It's like optical illusion. You feel like you're about to just dive right over it.
It is optical illusion because when I was running the trucks and all, because I've got in to help out and do things like that, when you don't realize how different it is. You think you're right there and going to flip in the hole when you're actually 10, 15 feet away from it because the machine is so big. It's an optical illusion.
Because you can't see it. You don't have that full view, that 360 from up on the machine. Yeah. Gotcha. So I asked you kind of like, what are some of the things that you really love about the industry?
The industry is, top thing is, it's something I love to do. And it gives you an opportunity to better yourself, to move up, and to make more money, and to take care of your family. Right. I've got people on my crew that has started as low as an operator, as low as a laborer, and now they run backhoes, they run finished dozers, they're finished operators. It's a skill trait that will be with you the rest of your life, that will benefit you in a lot of ways. There's always children being born. There's always people moving into your state. It'll be an industry that will continue to go, where a lot of your other industries may shut down because it's not a supply and demand.
Right.
It's construction is supply and demand. It's people got to have land to live.
There's a lot of demand and not enough supply right now.
Yes.
That's great advice for anybody listening.
Yeah, we need more people in the industry. We can't do it fast enough. It's with the people that's moving here and people need homes and things like that. It's just us people are doing everything we can to get you the home to get into, to get the land developed for it, but just not enough people in the industry because it's got a bad rep that's not true.
Right.
It's like we talked before, is people think it's hard manual labor. And It is hard. I'm not
when
going
you're
to,
starting.
when you're starting, it's very hard.
Yeah.
But it depends on you as a person. Do you want to stay in that hard position, that busting your tail all day, or do you want to move up? It's that choice and decision is yours.
Yeah, and you've kind of told me, you said you support your family,
Yeah.
you know, and there's good enough money in this work
Good enough money in it.
to be able to support your family on your own.
Yep. I have a home on an acre of land that I'm buying. I'm over halfway bought into it. I have 2 vehicles. I have insurance. I have the luxuries. I have raised 7 kids between.
And that's not cheap.
No. And I've done it on a construction salary.
Yeah, that's a great story.
The wife that I have now she's a stay-at-home mom. She has always took care of the kids. And in this industry, I'm not going to say I didn't struggle from time to time.
Sure.
I when things got bad in the economy and all, it was a battle, but I have always been able to support and take care of my family.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I made some dumb decisions. I didn't work like I should in my first marriage and things like that, but you grow up and you learn. But so people know in this industry, I know a lot of people talk in this economy, and I'm not going to say I don't struggle. Don't think I have this excellent life, but where it takes 2 people to survive, I have in this industry been almost the sole provider.
Yeah.
And have took care of my family and paid the bills. And we've had to make sacrifices. We've had to give things up, going out to dinner and things like that when the times got rough and the times got hard. But there's been excellent times too that we've been able to buy a home. We've been able to buy vehicles. We've been able to do that stuff. So.
And you're still only 48 years old, and you've got a lot of years to work. And
a lot of years to go.
Yeah. Well, one of the things you said you love about the industry too is the variety of the work that you get to do, because the jobs are always different. You never stop learning.
Yeah. It's never the same.
Yeah.
No job is the same. Every job's different. Every job has its own challenges.
Yeah.
And where a lot of people that I can say, if you're one that doesn't like to be in one job in one place, construction's the place for you.
Yeah.
Because you're not in one place. You're not in. When you say, okay, I'm done, I'm tired, I want something new, I'm over this, there's your next job.
Right.
It's right there. All my equipment gets moved to the next job, the new challenges, I go with that job again. When I'm tired of that job, guess what? There's another job that's lined up that I go to new. It's a new challenge pretty much every day in construction. There's always new challenges.
And ironically, you talked about going to work on Hurricane Andrew back when you were in 9th grade, and now we've had a couple storms here, Helene and Milton, and you've been one of the guys that's helped us run and supervise crews that we've been working 24 hours a day for 2 months straight, to try to help the community get cleaned up.
Yes.
Whether it's debris being dumped so it didn't turn into projectiles, or now we're processing wood as well. And I'm very appreciative of all the work you've done on that, and it's just kind of funny how that's something that was totally out of our realm until the call happened, and we had team players like you step up and say, hey, Ben, let's do this. We got it.
Yeah. I look at it, and the people out there need to look at it as we wasn't out there to make money. We were out there in our mindsets and our thinking. There's all this devastation. Even before when Hurricane Helene come through, that's when I first started. We went out there trying to rush and hurry and get the material off the streets, like you said, so it wouldn't be projectiles and wouldn't tear people's houses up more. Yeah. And then after it, we went back in there and continued to clean up, continued to try to help people get their lives back together. Yeah. It's not about, it's about helping. It's about coming together as a community and helping each other out in a time of need. It's not like you go out there and make $1 million. That's not what we did. Right. We went out there of the kind of our hearts hurting for other people and wanting to help them out of a devastating time and helping them get their lives back together and get things cleaned back up.
Yeah. And that's something we get to do in this industry as a whole, whether it's helping the community or mentoring your people, helping them grow their careers. I mean, it's all about, helping that person next to you.
Yes.
Yeah. So Awesome, man. Well, hey, you dropped some great gems in here. I think if anybody listens to this, they're going to be definitely giving construction a thought or a little different perspective just based on your experience. So I really appreciate all of that. Anything we missed that you want to share before we wrap up?
No, just reiterate to let the people know that it's not as bad as it seems, and you can do anything you set your mind to. We all struggle. We all have challenges in life. We all have people that maybe kick us and knock us down. It's whether you get up and dust yourself off and better yourself. And once again, the thing I love about the industry is you always can get back up. You always can, even if you get knocked down a step, you can come back up. You can pull yourself back up. Never think you can't do it, because you can.
And you've done a heck of a lot more than turn a paddle.
Yeah. I've started over several times in my life.
Yeah.
And you can do it.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Well, Jamie, thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing your story. Appreciate all you do for the company, man.
Thank you.
We wouldn't be here without you. And look forward to you being here for a long time and hopefully retiring here someday.
That is my plan. I thank you for giving me the opportunities and seeing the values in me and what I do. And that is my plan, is to retire with Burgess Civil. I've started 401k and you match me dollar for dollar. So
yeah,
I never thought to set for retirement.
Yeah.
And you've kind of inspired me to do that, because I'm watching my dad now struggle because he didn't.
Sure. Well, now you get to, and we match that dollar for dollar up to 6%. So we're serious about helping people get prepared for whenever it is they decide that they want to stop working, to have the ability to be able to do that. So yeah.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Burgess Civil Podcast, where our greatest asset is our people. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please leave us a review, give us a like, and subscribe to our channel on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. Follow us on social media and share your feedback or suggest topics for the next episodes. You can find all the information about our social media channels in the description. We hope you will continue to follow us on our construction journey.